Hi Christine. Little one being good then. Hi Sarah. Hi Marilyn. Nice of you to join me this afternoon. It's very, 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 very wet here. Don't know what it's like where you are, but it's grey, overcast and wet. So I'm glad I'm inside. Nothing better to do on a wet day than be in your craft room, is there, really? So I think we'll make a start. It's not a just gone back home. Oh, perfect timing, Christine. It's not a difficult card today. I just wanted to do something a little bit clean and simple for a change. Because, hi Connie, because I think sometimes we can get a little bit too carried away with trying to, I don't know, use as many products as you can sometimes. And I think sometimes it's nice to go back to being quite basic. Same in Yorkshire, yeah, I think it's pretty much countrywide, Marilyn, to be honest. So, let's just go through what I'm going to be using on today's card. This is the card I'm going to be making, and I'm using blues today as opposed to the sort of aqua-y greens that I used on this original card. So, I'm using one of my most favourite sets of dies, the large foliage. They're $16.99, plenty in stock at the moment, so if you haven't yet got it and you're thinking about it, it's one I would definitely go for because it's got so many different uses. I mean, this little one here particularly is good for Christmas cards, and so are the ferns, to be honest, and they're a nice size. But these two are the two that I use more than anything else, to be fair. So that's what I've used for the leaves, which I've cut in vellum. Then I've also used the Squiggle Script sentiments, which again I find are a perfect way to have sentiments ready at the drop of a hat. Something simple that you don't want to go overboard. So if you sort of batch make cards and you want sort of some general cards ready, I would go for this set because you don't have any stamping to do. You just cut out the word and then cut out the matting layer that goes behind it. I haven't used the matting layer today because I just wanted the word to stand out. So I've just used the word rather than the mat as well. But again, what better way to have sort of 5 sentiments ready dead quick. And if you run them through in different colours, then you've got umpteen sentiments ready at the drop of a hat, haven't you? So that's a good set to have. And then I've used the Dahlia Edgecutz stamp. Now, this is a stamp and die set. But all I've used from this is this little stamp and die here. Haven't used the main one, I've just used this very small one. And this is in the sale at the moment. It's currently $14.99, so that's a really pretty good saving. And all I've used, as I say, is the small stamp out of this set. And then I've die cut it. So that's what I've used for the flower. And then for my background, for this part here, I've used the hexagon stencils from Lisa. These were some that she bought out absolutely ages and ages ago. And there are 2 sets with 2 packs with 2 different sets in them. So you get triangles and hexagons in one and rectangles and circles in the other. And they are so useful. They're one of my go-to things for card making, especially quick card making. Now, the other thing that I've used is the textures stamp set. Now, this was one that Lisa bought out simply ages ago. I'm just using the script one, so I'll just leave that one out. It proved so popular with the design team, and we badgered her for so long, please can you reintroduce them, that in the end she did. I'm not putting it on a block because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stamping into my hexagon with the hexagon stencil in place. So I want to be able to get the wording right up to the edge of the hexagon, which you wouldn't do necessarily if you've got it on a block because of the lip on the mylar, because it is quite a thick mylar. So I'll just pop that to one side for now, and then we'll get cracking. So I've got a 7x5 card,
And then I've cut a piece of card 6 3/4 by 5 3/4 for my matting and layering. And then I've cut a piece of white card which is 6 5/8 by 4 5/8. The measurements are entirely up to you. I particularly wanted a small mat and layer like that. The blue on the white I wanted to be a little bit bigger, but the white on the blue I wanted to be comparatively small. So those are the reasons that I've gone with those measurements. Yes, Lorraine, it will be on YouTube, but it will also be in the group later if you want to catch up, so no problem. Now you'll see here that I've made 2 little pencil marks, and what I did was I took my stencil before I put all my post-it notes around it and placed it so that it was more or less in the middle of the card here. I wanted it to be a little bit nearer the top so that I'd got room to put the sentiment at the bottom. So I did it before I put the post-it notes on, because you can see through this mylar. So I could see that it was in more or less the right place. Hello Jean. So that's hence the pencil marks, because when I've put my post-it notes on and I go to put my stencil on my white card, I wouldn't be able to see through the mylar to see where to put it. Okay. So then I'm just going to tape it down. Just move my white card from my background. I'll put it all together in a minute. So I've got a little bit of tape here and a little bit of tape here. So I'm going to stick it down so that it doesn't move. And then I'm going to rub out those pencil marks before I add any ink. Just make sure I don't put any other colour on, because I don't want any red on my card. So I just rub those pencil marks out as best I can. And I know that my stencil is in exactly the right place for where I want it. To be fair, you probably get rid of the rest of the pencil marks after you've done your inking. So today, to match the card that I'm using today, this is American Crafts cardstock, an absolutely beautiful cardstock. I just love the slight texture that it's got on it, and it's one of my go-to cardstocks at the moment. So to match that, I chose tumbled glass, and I think you'll agree, although it doesn't look it on here, when you actually put the ink onto the card, it is quite a good match. Not that it needs to match completely, it doesn't, to be fair. So all I'm going to do is quite literally just go from off the edge of the post-it notes all across my aperture here with my tumbled glass. And I love using Lisa's brushes because they're so controllable. You won't get a huge splodge of ink colour where you don't want it. It's a really controllable way of adding ink to your background. So my post-it notes lifting there. Now I don't want this to be like a really heavy solid colour. I want this to be a sort of a background colour really. I want it to be full, but I don't necessarily want it to be totally blue all the way across, if you get me. I just want the blue to show as a shape on my white card. And I would always say, come off your post-it notes onto your aperture, so that you minimise any rush of ink, if you like. I know you can't rush ink on a brush, but if you come off your post-it note, the main lot of ink is going to start on your post-it note, not on your white card, and that way you will get a smoother finish on the aperture that you're using. So if I just lift that up so that we can see what we've got. See, that's exactly what I want. I just want that aperture. I'm looking at it now, it's not straight, but never mind. I just want that aperture to just sort of sit there in the background and give me a focal point to put everything else around, but I don't want the colour to really leap off the page, so that's why I've gone with the oxides and the brush technique. Okay, so now I want to put, what have I taken my stencil off for? I want to put my text stamp in the background. So I'll just pop this back because I shouldn't have taken it off. So a little bit ahead of myself there. So just pop that back down there. I know where my tape is, there and there. And then so that this stands out, I'm using the Distress ink as opposed to the oxide. Hi Tina, hi Elizabeth. I'm using the Distress ink as opposed to the oxide because the ink colour will stand out on the oxide behind it. Now I am going to just stamp it off a little bit just to make sure that it's not too dark, because again I don't want this to be the feature of the card. I want this bit to be the feature of the card, but I want this as a bit of an interesting background. See, that's perfect. I don't want it leaping off the card and somebody going, oh, wonder what that says, because it doesn't really say anything. And this is the reason that I haven't put it on a block, because I want to get to the edges like that. So using it just loose like this works perfectly for that. There we go. Job done. So that's the Distress ink on top of the Distress oxide. Always works perfectly. So we'll just lift that stencil off now and put that to one side. So now we can mat and layer our card. And I did say at the beginning this was such a quick, simple card to do. I'm not going to rub that bit of pencil mark off yet. I'm going to wait till it's completely dry. I mean, if you wanted to, you could spray that with a little bit of hairspray to seal it, so that it didn't sort of smudge or anything, but I don't think it's really that necessary on this. And if you've used brushes and you've brushed your ink and you've sort of worked it quite a bit, the more you work an oxide, the less chance you've got of it actually rubbing off. That's just one of the little beauties of the oxide ink pads. So the more you use it and the more you sort of brush with it, the less chance it has of actually smudging, which is what they can do. So I'll just mat and layer my card, and then we can get on to the fun bit. So I told you this was quick, didn't I? I have to concentrate when I'm matting and layering, because I don't measure it really. I just do it by eye. I wish I'd put my hexagon on straight, but never mind. There we go. So then, I said to you I'd use the small stamp from the Dahlia Edgecutz set. And if I just show you the one I've used. So this is the little stamp that I've used, and I've stamped this onto white card that I've also inked using the same oxide colour as I've done on the background here. So all I've done is used a piece of white card, piece of Lisa's Extra Smooth 250 GSM white cardstock, and I've just used the same oxide ink and just brushed a patch of card in the tumbled glass. And then I've stamped this in Versamark, and I've embossed it with Lisa's white, is that this one? Ice White Sparkle Superfine Sparkle Embossing Powder, because it does just give, I don't know whether you can see that on camera, just wait for my camera to catch up with me. Hi Julie, better late than never, yeah that's fine. I don't know whether you can see the sparkle on that, but these embossing powders have got such a beautiful finish to them. The sparkle is just, it's unreal in real life. You can't, video's not picking it up really, but trust me, it does sparkle and it's beautiful. So that's what I've done. I didn't want to do it on camera because my heat gun's quite loud. So, I thought I'd do that ahead of time. So I did exactly the same with this. And on this card, I used salvaged patina, which is a really lovely light aqua greeny blue colour. Really, really pretty. And again, I did the same with that. I stamped the flower in Versamark and used Lisa's Superfine Sprinkles embossing powder, and that's the Ice White Sparkle. Okay, so that's going to go there. I'm not going to do that just yet because I want to just do the leaves first. Now then, I cut my leaves in vellum, and on this one, I don't know whether you can see, if I lift that up, I don't know whether you can see, but I'd used a white gel pen and did put little veins on the leaves. Yeah, you can just see that. And I've used white gel pen on that. So on today's, I thought I would go with a colour rather than the white, because the white doesn't really show up that well. And having done one of the blues, the blue doesn't show up that well either. But, it is what it is. But what I did, before I put the ink on, was just shape these leaves a little bit, so that they weren't going to sit totally flat on my card. Now I know it's difficult to add vellum to cards, because if you're using glue, the glue shows through on vellum. So what I did was I've put the glue where you can't see it, basically. So most of the glue is under here, so the leaves are all stuck on under this flower, and that's probably the reason I've used the flower, is to hide the fact that I've glued the leaves. So it's all done for a reason. So I chose a blue that matched what I was using cardstock wise, and literally all I've done is just add a few little veins onto these leaves, just to give it just a little bit of interest, really. It's not for any other reason. I just think aesthetically it just looks a little better if you've got a little bit of colour. It will fade as it dries because it's drying on vellum, and that's why I did the shaping first, because obviously this ink is going to stay a little bit wet to start with, and I didn't want to smudge it when I did the shaping on the leaves. Now I'm cutting these down. This is the smaller branch on the large foliage, so that's this one that I've used here. I normally use this one, but to be honest there were too many leaves on this large one to use on this card, so I've just used this smaller one, and again I've cut it down to fit my leaves exactly where I want them. So let's get to putting my leaves where I want them. So I wanted them to sit around the one side of the hexagon, and I wanted them so that they didn't overhang the side of the card, because obviously once you put your card in your envelope, if your leaves overhang the side, then they're going to bend over, and vellum isn't very forgiving. Once you've creased it, it's very difficult to make it look pretty and uncreased. So that's why I've done it the way I've done it. So then I put that one there and that one sticking out there, so that they're not over the edge of the card, but they're just giving the card a little bit of interest around the flower. Okay, so I'm going to snip this because it's too long, and then I'm going to glue them down. And now, as I said, I'm gluing them in this area, but this one here I'm going to have to glue on that sort of branch there. Now this glue dries clear, so hopefully it won't show too much when you've finished the card. Don't think it will. I mean, I've done it on the other one, and I don't think it shows, to be fair. Let me just come across with that so that it's not overhanging the card, but it is overhanging the matting and layering. You see on this one here, I have actually put glue here, but when you look at the card from a distance, you can't see that. You're going to have to hold the card really, really close and really examine it to be able to see, oh yeah, they've glued that down there, you can see the glue. And I don't think people examine cards to that depth, to be honest. And if they do, it's only because they want to know how you did it, because they've never done it before. So I just put my glue on here and then put that where I want it. I'll just lift that up. I'm going to put that behind there, like that. So that when you put the flower on, you're not going to see all these little bits of glue. But they are going to hold your leaves secure, but it's also going to give your card a little bit of sort of movement, if you like, with the leaves being not completely stuck down, because I'm not putting any glue under any of the leaves at all. So you see on this one, the leaves are quite free, and they just give the card a little bit of movement and a little bit of interest. So then I'm going to put my flower down, and I'm going to 3D this. I should have put the pads on before, but I forgot. So I've been to the dentist this morning, and it's completely thrown me, if I'm honest. Don't really like going to the dentist, but needs must. So I just pop that there and then snip that because it's a little bit long. But I can then put that tiny little bit there, like that. Okay, so take these off. Some of these backing sheets just do not want to come off at all. Thank you, Connie. I just think it's nice sometimes to do something a little bit simple, a little bit clean and simple. So my flower's going there, and I want to place it so that it hides as many of the stems of the leaves as possible, but doesn't cover any of the actual leaves. And I think just making it, putting it on with 3D foam, just again gives it that little bit of depth and a little bit more interest. So this is my squiggle script sentiment, and as you can see, I have actually only used the word rather than the matting layer as well, because I just wanted the word. And that's the beauty of this set, is you can do either, and either look equally as good. So, you know, put it with the matting layer if you want to, leave it off if you want to. It's obviously personal choice, and different cards will suit a different style. Yes, I'm fine, thank you, Connie. Just a little fill-in, which I was a bit disappointed with, but never mind. Done now, although I can't really feel my mouth. So we're going to just pop this down here, and I'm going to use my tweezers to place, because what I actually want, I'm sorry if you can see the top of my head, is for both loops to sit on the blue card so that it all ties in like that. And don't worry about any little bits of glue that you can see either side of the actual word that you've die cut. They will dry clear, and to be honest, they don't really stand out that much. So there you go. A nice, quick and easy, simple card, which I think looks really effective. And is something that you could batch make. So if you were sort of, you know, you wanted to make like a little box set of thank you cards, maybe, you could do something like this. You didn't have to put the vellum leaves on if you didn't want to. You could just as easily use the flower in the hexagon and leave it at that if you wanted to make like a little box set, because obviously these vellum leaves, if you put these together in a box, they're going to flatten and they might get creased. But you know, go for it if you want to. If you want to send somebody a little box of thank you cards that are a little bit different, then I think these are perfect. So just a couple of little things before I go. Don't forget the 2 challenges that we've got running. The animal challenge using the Edgecutz animals, which I know so many of you had, and I know a lot of you had them because they sold out. They are back in stock at the moment. So that finishes this weekend at some point, and so does the 5,000 members giveaway challenge. And I know that we've had some beautiful, beautiful cards in both categories. So you've still got a few days left to get your card in. I know Lisa is busy unpacking 1 or 2 boxes, shall we say. Probably a bit more than 1 or 2, but I know she's sort of chasing her tail at the moment. So if we don't sort of finish it over the weekend, it will be done ASAP, I promise you. But obviously, unpacking the new stuff's got to take a little bit of priority, otherwise Lisa won't be able to move. So there you go. Thank you, Tina. Thanks, Pat. Thank you, Sue. I hope you all enjoyed that. Claire will be back with you on Tuesday, all being well. Hopefully all her problems are sorted. No Heidi on Wednesday, and I'll be back with you next Friday. Next Friday, I think, is the 6th, so in the evening of the Friday the 6th, Lisa will be doing a live for you, just giving you a quick preview of the box kit that's going to be on the TV on the 11th of August. And trust me, if you thought the first box kit was good, that was nothing compared to the second one, because it's amazing. So I'll leave it there. I'll see you next week. Lisa will be here next Friday evening. Claire will be with you on Tuesday. And don't forget the 2 challenges. So have a fabulous weekend, everybody. And I'll see you all again very soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.